Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Hopefully it's a great day for you as you're watching this. This is just going to be a quick video on fast casual restaurants. We're going to go through kind of some of the specifics, characteristics of fast casual restaurants, a little bit of their history, and what we see for them in the future. All right, so what is a fast casual restaurant? Fast casual restaurant is a type of quick service restaurant that focuses on speed of service but serves food of higher quality than typical fast food restaurants. Okay, the fast casual restaurant concept is kind of a hybrid between fast food and full service restaurants. Now, is there a defining line that tells me this is quick service and this is full service and this is fast casual? Not really. Those lines are kind of blurred. It kind of there's some crossover there. I would say if you have service at the table, then I would consider that to be sit down. But once you start ordering at a counter, that's going to go to quick service or fast casual. Our fast casual restaurants are going to prioritize the overall dining experience and ambiance, which would be different from a quick service restaurant. But the decor and quality of ingredients won't have quite the same standards as a high-end restaurant. But again, they're going to be higher than a quick service restaurant. So the fast casual is going to meet some of the following criteria. All right, so you're going to have limited service or a self-service format. So again, we're not going to see service staff at the tables, but we will have guests helping us through. Staff helping us through the dining experience. We're going to see our average meal prices probably between $8 to $15. Now inflation will probably change that, but you're probably not going to see the value meals that you would see at quick service restaurants in fast casual. You might see different deals on certain days to drive in business, but they're not going to be permanent fixtures to the menu like in quick service. It's going to be kind of made to order food with more complex flavors than fast food restaurants. You're going to have more colors. You're going to have more vegetables. You're going to have more freshness there. A lot of times in fast casual, they're going to have a menu board that utilizes the case sightline of the guest. So picture yourself in a Chipotle, because I feel like most everyone's been into a Chipotle. You walk in and the first thing you do is you take a look up at the menu and you determine whether or not you want a burrito or tacos or a bowl or whatnot. Then you look down and you give them your order. Then you're going to look back up again, but kind of over a little bit. And you're going to determine what protein you want there, even though it's in front of you, right? You're going to look at the menu, but then you're also going to look back down. You're going to look at the fresh item on the line, and you're going to tell that service staff. And you're going to continue on kind of throughout as they build your menu item for you. And so that menu board, a lot of times fast casual is going to use that as a tool to get you to kind of explore everything on the menu, as well as take a look at everything that they have to offer and really show you what value is in their food. Now, also with fast casual, you're going to find that they're a little more upscale and unique compared to quick service. Think of like a mod pizza that's going to have lots of pictures, photos all over the place. A lot of these places are like Instagrammable and more highly developed decor than, again, quick service. But again, not quite as much as full service, fine dining, those type of restaurants. A lot of stores are going to update their look every 3 years. Now, not necessarily a full remodel, but maybe they will change out the menu boards or table tents, or maybe just some of the pictures on the wall, change a mural, something like that, just to kind of freshen it up a little bit, give it a new look for their guests to come in. So the guests feel like even though they're dining at the same place, it's a little bit different. There's something new for them. Fast casual is also going to target the golden age of 32. So the golden age of 32, that's kind of a sweet spot for marketing and for what we're targeting in fast casual restaurants. Now, I'm not 32, but if I looked back and I said, what age would I like to be again? I would not go for my 20s because there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of developing in your 20s. But when you get into your 30s, 32 isn't a bad age. It really isn't. I would not, I would do that again. When you look at a lot of people who are that age, you're more established in your career. You are, maybe you have a family, but the kids are younger. They still like you. They're not as expensive as older kids are. So 32 is really a good age. And so a lot of times they are targeting that. And even if you're not that age, they want you to kind of feel like you are that age when you sit down there. And then also because of the style of food, and we're not necessarily making those food items to order. Most of our fast casual restaurants are not going to have a drive-through, although we are seeing that post-COVID. We're seeing more and more drive-throughs with the rise of DoorDash and then just to go in general. All right, our fast casual guests. So, unlike fast food restaurants and fine dining restaurants, fast casual restaurants are going to have much more diverse target market. Their typical customer is someone who wants to eat quickly but can also enjoy a sit down meal. So, they target fast food customers as well as for full service restaurant customers. So, a quick service restaurant might not be targeting someone who wants to go have a steak dinner, and a fine dining restaurant is probably not targeting families and people on more on smaller budgets for their meals. So fast casual gets all of those guests and they are able to market to all of them. So this broad customer base is going to mean that restaurateurs don't have to rely on such a niche market for success. Okay, so if I have an office building, I can rely on the lunchtime rush to come and I get a lot of business from that. Let's say that office closes down and suddenly there's construction going on. Well, I can target the construction workers for their lunch as well. I can target families coming in for an early dinner, or even in a lot of cases, you see couples going for an easygoing date night. They just want to get out. They just want some time alone. They don't need anything special. Fast casual, a lot of times, is a place that people are going to go. All right, so fast casual restaurants also benefit from high customer turnover levels. So a lot of times in restaurants, you'll hear about how many turns do you have in the dining room. So that's how many times we can seat that table. Now, because of the amount of business that's going out the front door and to go, also the speed in which the guests get served and the speed in which a lot of the stuff takes to eat, customers do not sit down for very long. And so you're able to utilize this dining room quite frequently and you can turn the guests much more. In fast casual, because you don't have a host, most of the time your guests have to find their own seats, but the line is going to kind of control the flow into the dining room. And so if you're waiting 15 minutes in line, by the time that you get to the front, you get your food, someone who has sat down, chances are they have finished their meal, they get up, you have an open table. So it means that each table can be utilized multiple times during the dining service, so the restaurant can serve more customers and maximize its profit margins. Again, a lot of our fast casuals do offer alcohol, but not as much as you would in like a sit down restaurant. So you're not going to see as many people camping and sitting in those tables for a long time. So, what type of food works for fast casual restaurants? Okay, fast casual restaurants, we know quick service restaurants utilize a par system during busy times. Maybe they're cooking to order during slower times. Okay, but for fast casual restaurants, we're using food that some of it can be prepared ahead of time and cooked and served very quickly. But then there's some other components that we might cook to order. So, if I think about going to Payway, they're going to have all that rice that takes about 15-20 minutes to cook. If I was going to cook it to order, that's already ready. But then they've got thinly sliced proteins or things that cook very quickly, and they go ahead and they get that started. They can have my food out pretty quickly. Okay. So again, we're cooking things fresh to order and some of it's already prepared. If you go into like a piada, they have the pasta already ready, which you would normally need to boil ahead of time. And Again, they're just assembling as you come in. All right, so where does fast casual come from? So for most of you watching this video, if you were born after the 90s, 2000, it's always been around for you, but it hasn't been around for as long as you would think. So it started kind of back late 1980s, 1990s. There were certain fast casual concepts that kind of started out like Fuddruckers, Boston Market, places where you could go in, you could get a higher quality food. You waited a little bit longer, but it was, again, higher quality based on convenience and efficiency. So Fuddruckers. I remember the first time I went into a Fuddruckers, it was honestly quite confusing because we'd never been to a place like that before. So you placed an order, but it wasn't ready yet. You had to go sit down, but you didn't have a server. And then you had to go back up and get your order when it was called and then garnish it yourself, which again, we see as something that's very common these days. But back then there was a learning curve with your guest. Okay. So Fuddruckers, Au Bon Pain, Taco Cabana, these were food, they featured food, atmosphere, and prices that were a step above quick service. I do remember Fuddruckers, my mom saying, "This is not as cheap as McDonald's. I don't know if we'll be back." Okay. But there was definitely a lot more. It was a nicer than a McDonald's. It felt like a much nicer restaurant. The food was much better. But again, a step above quick service. And this was in an effort to offer casual dining quality in a limited service setting. So again, also restaurateurs found that keeping service staff is hard and managing a dining room is hard. And what if we could eliminate some of that? And we just focused on the food and the atmosphere, the guest brings the rest. They found a successful model. So again, 80s and 90s kind of started to take off a little bit, but it didn't really become popular until probably the late 1990s. But when we saw things like 9/11 happen and then the economic downturn of 2007, which you might know is the global financial crisis, this is when we saw fast casual really blow up. So before 9/11, before the global economic crisis, you saw people that had a lot of discretionary income and they got used to going out to eat. They got used to going to restaurants. I remember waiting tables and you could sell people anything. Like there was no budgets. It wasn't like it is today. But then 9/11 happens. Nobody quite knows what's going to happen with the economy. 2007 happens. We see what happens with the economy. And suddenly you have these people that were very used to dining out that suddenly need to slide down. They have some discretionary income, but not as much, and they want to hold on to it. So we're not going to go out for full service dinner anymore, but we still need to eat. Okay. And so fast casual, because of its fresher ingredients, it's perceived as healthier. And so that's when you see a lot of the younger demographics sliding to that because they don't want to quite go quick service, but they still need to feed themselves. And also when you think about the perceived healthiness of the food, a lot of it's just the freshness and the color that fast casual has to offer. If you compared a beef and broccoli from Payway to a Big Mac, most people are going to think that beef and broccoli is healthier, but a beef and broccoli is 790 calories, whereas a Big Mac is 540 calories. Now, depending on what your dietary needs are, you have to determine which one is the best choice for you. But people see that broccoli and think, oh, it's healthy. So they go to Chipotle, they see fresh tomatoes, they see lettuce, they see guacamole. It seems a little bit healthier than if they went to a quick service restaurant that offered the same type of food. So what does the future hold for fast casual? So here we are post-pandemic, and fast casual has become a very sweet spot for the growth in the industry. Okay, so we're seeing in fast casual, they have much more growth than quick service or sit-down restaurants. Okay, and then price points are starting to kind of again blur lines in between segments. So we originally said most of our price points are $8 to $15. You're seeing places. I went to a fast casual restaurant in San Francisco where my entree was $40. I didn't have a server. It was one of the best meals I ever had. But again, it's a little bit more than $15. But we're seeing that people are starting to serve nicer, more chef inspired entrees without the service. So, again, blurring the lines in between the segments. Consumers are pulling back on visits to most casual dining concepts and some quick service concepts, but we're seeing a lot of our fast casual operators like Potbelly, Chipotle, Wingstop, Cava, Shake Shack. They are getting busier and they are doing more in business and their profits are increasing. So again, the segment has also outperformed on sales. According to recently released Tectonic data, fast casual sales in 2023 grew by 11.2%, followed by quick service sales at 7.9%. Family dining restaurants grew by 5.7%, and casual dining chains grew by 4.7%. Okay, so 11.2 compared to 4.7 is pretty significant. And the global fast casual restaurant segment was valued at $124.5 billion in 2022 and is projected to reach $337.8 billion by 2032, representing a compound annual growth rate of 10.4%. So we are looking at a very lucrative market to get into. So if you're thinking about opening a franchise or your own restaurant, this might be the segment for you to choose because the future is pretty bright for fast casual. All right, well, that's all we have for today. It's a nice short one. Go ahead and check out the articles that are still in Canvas for you, as well as your assignment, and I will see you next week.